Brought to you by Gatorade. And Frank Kobe Bryant with the audacity to say that this year's version could challenge or even defeat that 92 team.
Well, that's a hypothetical, Mark, but I know that Kobe Bryant and LeBron James, like the original Dream Teamers, have become worldwide figures in the game of basketball. People in Barcelona looking forward to Team USA playing today.
And folks, let's take a look at our starting lineup brought to you by Nike for the Argentine national team. Several noticeable names that play in the NBA. Amongst them, Manu Ginobili of the San Antonio Spurs, Andres Nocioni, erstwhile of the Philadelphia 76ers, Luis Scola, formerly of the Houston Rockets, now with the Phoenix Suns, Carlos Delfino, a member of the Milwaukee Bucks, and Pablo Prigioni will get the start at point guard. Meanwhile, for the United States, hey, it continues to be a little bit of a work in progress. Chris Paul replacing Darren Williams at the point. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Tyson Chandler have been the only three consistent starters in the 4 games so far. Kevin Durant remains in the starting lineup after getting his first start 3 days ago in that victory against Great Britain. We talked about that NBA flavor on the Argentine national team. Some guys that not only play in the NBA, friend, but have had good careers.
Well, good careers both in the NBA, Mark, and internationally. These are the guys that created the golden generation of Argentine basketball over the last decade. They've had much success on the international scene, including a gold medal in 2004. And think back to 2002. They were the first group to defeat NBA players in international competition.
Back at the World Championships in Indianapolis, there's a look at the numbers. Ginobili already, 10 seasons in the NBA. Prigioni recently signing a contract with the New York Knicks back on July the 11th. Nocioni signed recently in Spain, and Delfino waiting to get his status settled with the Milwaukee Bucks. Talk of a lot of interest by the Boston Celtics from him. And now Luis Scola addressing the crowd here as Kevin Durant watches on. The United States coming off a big win, friend, maybe their most impressive win of the 3 games so far against Great Britain. They shot 60% from the field in that 118-78 victory.
Well, Great Britain really didn't have any answers, Mark, and quite frankly, they're the 12th team in the field of 12 in London because they are the host team, but an impressive USA performance nevertheless.
In that game, Darren Williams had 19 points, his first as a starter. And Carmelo Anthony also coming off the bench. He had 19 as well. And an interesting sight right there as you look at the uniforms of the 2012 version of USA Basketball senior men's national team. Those uniforms look very familiar, like 1992 version. Throwback style tonight.
Throwback style uniforms even in the Olympics.
Fran, let's take a look at some of your keys for the game tonight against Argentina.
Well, obviously, Team USA has got an advantage in terms of team speed. Backcourt pressure should be in USA's favor. Pablo Prigioni, really the one pure ball handler. But Argentina, a wily group, average starting age in that starting lineup, 33 years old. They'll try to slow the game down, control tempo. But I have to tell you, Mark, after watching Spain dismantle Argentina on Friday night, be interesting to see how Argentina approaches this game.
How surprised were you by that margin of victory?
Well,
we know Spain's good.
We know Spain is really good. I got to tell you, I watched the first quarter. It almost looked like Argentina was playing possum. Either that or they've gotten very old before our eyes.
Well, the United States has ramped up his preparation in the last couple of days, getting ready for their opener in Group A in about a week now. LeBron James looking for his 2nd Olympic gold medal. He won a bronze back in 2004. And LeBron with an opportunity, if he continues to score at this rate, all he has to do is average about 14 points a game, and he would become USA Basketball's all-time leading scorer in Olympic play.
It's interesting, Mark, looking at that Argentine starting lineup. 4 of the 5 starters today were on the team that won Olympic gold in 2004.
Chandler will jump against Luis Scola. And we are underway in Barcelona, 20 years after the original Dream Team. Bryant on the wing, guarded by Delfino. LeBron on the drive, took the contact. Durant for three, knocks it down. Kevin Durant continues to remain hot.
USA went pick and roll right there. LeBron had a mismatch on Prigioni. He's impossible to keep out of the lane in that situation.
Remember, this is a shorter three-point line. Ginobili misses underneath. Chandler made him change that shot, and here's LeBron in transition. United States, as you mentioned, speed the key. They're looking to run. Durant going to try another three, and the same result.
Very similar start to the game Friday night for Argentina. They got blitzed 33-13 in that first quarter versus Spain.
Chris Paul really pressing up on Prigioni. Nocioni guarded by LeBron James. Those two have had some battles going back to their NBA days.
Team USA switching on the perimeter against that flex offense by Argentina.
And Chris Paul comes up with a steal. You mentioned the other day against Great Britain, Kobe inside gets the layup to go in a quick 8-0 blitzkrieg by the United States. You said that Coach K didn't show a lot defensively. He held back a little bit, right?
I think you have to in these friendly contests, as they're called, exhibition games, because they really don't matter. I mean, you want to play well, but you don't want to tactically show your cards too early.
That's going to be a foul against Tyson Chandler. Of course, the flip side is, friend, you want to establish a little bit of confidence and continuity, right?
That's very true, Mark. And a coach, it's an art form where a coach needs to make sure his team is sharp in running their offenses and defenses without giving too much away tactically.
Luis Scola will go to the free throw line, the newest member of this Phoenix Suns, 32 years old. A couple of years ago, he averaged 18 points and 8 rebounds for the Houston Rockets. They amnestied him in hopes of trying to acquire, well, everybody is, Dwight Howard.
Yeah. Well, he's going to team up with former Rocket guard Goran Dragic in Phoenix, and I know there's a comfort level there because Luis Scola really loves Dragic's game.
Just underway here in the first quarter. I'm Mark Jones along with Fran Fraschilla. Now we see a zone defense by Argentina.
Interesting. They played some zone Friday night. See, I think Team USA will see a lot of zone in the Olympic Games.
Well, they continue to shred that defense. Now 11-1 as Kobe Bryant knocks down a three. You got the feeling that this Argentina squad has the USA's attention. Ginobili off the mark. Nocioni with the rebound. Here's Delfino with the three ball, and he misses as well. Argentina off to a really cold shooting start. Durant looking for his third three, and he gets it. 14-1 beginning for the United States. And Mike Krzyzewski seems to have pressed all the right buttons in his starting lineup, friend.
Kevin Durant knows where that FIBA line is. He's on fire early in Barcelona.
Nike Plus Basketball, Game On World, and in part by Gatorade. Gatorade knows it all begins within. Win from within. And Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more.
Some of the sights and sounds of Barcelona. Welcome back, everyone, to the USA Men's National Team presented by Nike Plus. And the United States off to a great start. I'm Mark Jones along with Fran Fraschilla. United States, Fran, shooting a perfect 5 for 5 from the field, 4 for 4 from downtown.
Kevin Durant 3 for 3, and we saw in 2010 at the World Championships, Mark, how comfortable he is from the international three-point line, about a foot and a half closer than the NBA line.
Ginobili with the inbound. Here's Prigioni, dogged once again by Chris Paul. See what Argentina runs coming out of this timeout. And they get turned over, the second turnover, and Bryant with the slam.
I mentioned that start Friday night, Mark. Argentina was spanked by Spain, and you just wonder if we're watching the end of a dynasty right now.
Nice give and go, though. That time, Ginobili with the finish from Scola. Was the start worse than this for Argentina?
Pretty close. You know, 61-36 by halftime. 20-point deficit at the end of the first quarter. Of course, Spain hit 14 threes in that game.
Here's Bryant. His second three ball is good. You said Spain hit how many threes?
14.
USA might get that by halftime if they keep this up. They've got 5 already. Scola well defended by Tyson Chandler. And here's Chris Paul, 19-3 sprint to begin the game by the United States. A whistle and a foul. That's going to be against Luis Scola. Scola, one of the more physical players that these guys will go up against.
Take a look at Scola right there. I tell you what, he got into it with Ibaka of Spain on Friday night at the end of the third quarter. Scola not afraid, as you mentioned, to throw his weight around.
Former Spanish League ACB MVP. Chris Paul left wide open from downtown, and he has their first miss of the game. Little pick and roll. Prigioni inside. Nice dish to Delfino. Tipped out and kept alive, and Argentina turns it over. Delfino couldn't corral that pass, and want to mention at this time maybe a lack of continuity on his part, or maybe catching up a little bit, because he recently left the team for a few days, about 4 or 5 days, rejoined them just recently due to the birth of twins, his wife.
Kind of ironic. Manu Ginobili, he had twins. He and his wife had twins last spring. It's the reason he didn't play in FIBA Americas qualifying.
Twin boys. A couple of consecutive misses. And here comes Argentina. And Scola with the finish at the other end, the lead down to 14.
Important for Team USA right now to stay on that throttle. You see Argentina trying to slow down USA, going to that 2-3 zone.
The United States has had a lot of success, Fran, against that zone defense, putting LeBron in the middle just like that, right?
It's a great point, Mark, because he's such a great playmaker from the middle of the zone. Take a look. He cuts inside. Good tactical move by Coach K. We've seen him do it throughout the exhibition tour.
LeBron James will go to the free throw line. He's been one of the leading scorers for the United States. That foul against who else when LeBron is involved? Nocioni. His first personal foul.
Well, that's a little inside story there. You got to elaborate on that.
Well,
they've been nemesis.
Going back to 2004, 2005. Nocioni's first year with the Chicago Bulls. He and LeBron had more than a couple of confrontations on the court, due largely in part to the fact that Nocioni is so competitive. You know, he's not used to that code. He just plays hard. LeBron leaves the second one short as well. It was LeBron James that rescued the United States in Washington, D.C. against Brazil a couple of games ago.
Good pressure by Chris Paul on Prigioni. Team USA has a lineup right now that they can switch all 5 positions essentially.
Carmelo Anthony checked into the ball game during the last whistle, and they turn over Nocioni. Argentina gets it back, and there might have been, should have been, a shot clock reset, but they didn't get it, and it's a shot clock violation.
Right, I think the officials felt that neither team really ever had possession of the ball, so the shot clock continued to run. Let's take a look now. There's the ball. It's knocked loose. I don't think Carmelo, is that LeBron? See, he never has possession of the ball. It's a good call.
Argentina here, Fran, back in a man defense. Carmelo Anthony working against Scola. And Melo a little bit strong, and United States has ground to a halt a little bit here on the offensive end. Of course, you couldn't expect them to keep up that frenetic, efficient start. Kicked out of bounds by LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, and Darren Williams will check into the ball game for Coach K. The United States started off a perfect 7 for 7. They've missed their last 4. As Chris Paul goes to the bench.
Well, we're watching a team, Mark, without really any inside low post scoring. That's reliant on jump shooting and also transition basketball.
Scola trying to post up Carmelo Anthony. That's going to be a foul against Carmelo. Scola has one of the best below the rim games, Fran, in the entire NBA.
Oh, I agree. He gets you with the up and under move. He knows how to use his body. Take a look. You see Westbrook digging down a little bit. But you know, Scola, you mentioned, Mark, how impressive he's been. He averaged 27 points a game in the World Championships in 2010. The leading scorer in the entire tournament.
United States gives up another offensive rebound. Prigioni and Scola running the two-man game. And Luis Scola knocks it down. He was down to 12. Under 4 minutes to play here in the first quarter. Argentina looking for a little rhythm. They go back to a zone defense. Darren Williams pulls the trigger.
That's the danger of shooting too many jump shots. Now you'll say, well, they've got a lot of great shooters on Team USA, but I still believe that one way that they can really stub their toe in the Olympics is the night where the jump shooting goes cold. So you want to attack from the inside out when you can.
Russell Westbrook is all over Ginobili, who splits that double team, and that's going to be a reaching foul against the United States. Looked like Darren Williams gets whistled for the foul. Let's take a look at our upcoming schedule for the United States national team. They'll take on Spain next, 4:30 Eastern time on ESPN2 with the Gasol brothers, Serge Ibaka of the Thunder, Jose Calderon, who's been, friend, you saw him play against this Argentina team. Calderon's been playing well. He of the Raptors.
He has been playing well. This is a 3-team round-robin tournament here in Barcelona. Argentina played Spain on Friday night. Today's game is, we're playing it right now, and then Team USA will finish with Spain on Tuesday. And these are the 1, 2, and 3 ranked teams in the world.
United States number 1, of course, and Spain number 2, Argentina number 3. Ginobili knocks it down, and it's a 6-0 run for Argentina, who trail by just 10. Argentina, friends, switching up their defenses a lot, right?
Well, they are. They're in a 2-3 zone right now. Let's see if Team USA can play through the lane instead of just relying on jump shots.
Russell Westbrook fouled on the play. That foul is going to go against number 9, Juan Gutierrez. That's his first personal foul. Big fella plays in the Argentine Professional League.
And at times he'll start at center. They'll bring Delfino off the bench today. Coach Lamas chose to go with the smaller lineup with Scola at the center spot.
Russell Westbrook at the free throw line had a great season, made all NBA this year out of the Oklahoma City Thunder crew, and had himself that real indelible game, that 40-point game against the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals. You know, there's so much debate as to whether he's a point guard, a shooting guard. Some people think that he doesn't set up his teammates enough. Your read on that, friend?
You know what? He keeps both teams in the game, but he keeps your team in the game far more than he keeps the other team in the game, Mark. The guy is just an outstanding talent. You know what? An incredible competitor, too.
We saw him in that Brazil game a few nights ago in Washington, D.C. really turn up the defensive pressure on a couple of guards, especially Huertas of Brazil, and got a bunch of turnovers off it. It's going to be another foul against the United States. It's against Westbrook, his first.
I'm laughing. You know what I'm thinking, right? These guys have been together so long, these Argentines. Nano's still a pretty good actor.
He does know how to embellish a little bit. Carmelo Anthony with the bucket. It's 23-9. United States leading by 14. Remember, they play 4 10-minute periods in FIBA basketball. Three-point line is a little bit shorter than what you're used to seeing in the National Basketball Association. Prigioni with 5 on the shot clock into Scola. Scola losing the handle, throws up a wild shot, and Gutierrez almost got the putback whistle. And well, you're seeing evidence of why people think that FIBA basketball is a little bit more physical, bodies strewn across the paint.
I had a hard time explaining that to my American friends until they started watching FIBA. You know, the NBA's really cleaned up the hand checking and the physical play inside, Mark. Unfortunately, FIBA hasn't caught up yet in that regard.
Right.
They do allow a lot of contact. It takes some getting used to. But give credit to guys like LeBron and Kevin Durant, guys who played international basketball. They're used to it now.
Fred, you mentioned a good point there. I mean, it goes back to 2004, where now the United States, from a philosophical standpoint, know how to play FIBA. Is that right?
Very much so. Much better feel for the rules, for the flow of the game. You know, LeBron's playing in, what, his 54th game, 55th international game.
Russell Westbrook missing another 3, and now the United States missing those 3-point shots.
Now, this is the one concern. Now, when you play a 40-minute game in the Olympics and it's a knockout round, you don't want to just be relying on jump shots.
Nocioni missing inside, got his tip back to go. And Argentina trailing by 12 with just under 2 minutes to go now in the first quarter. Williams, and he's going to be called for a traveling violation. Well, that's the first turnover by the United States.
I'm laughing because it's the old rule, the FIBA rule. You gotta, if you're Darren Williams, you really can't catch that ball on the run because FIBA officials feel you've got to let the ball go before you pick up your pivot foot.
Ginobili with the long jumper. Kevin Love kept it alive, and here's Westbrook coming back the other way. And that's going to be a foul against Nocioni, much to the dismay of the Argentina coach, Julio Lamas. That's the second foul against Noc.
And Noc almost, now he knows that's a second foul, but you'll see international players foul in transition so that you don't get an easy fast break. But I'm not sure that's a foul Noc necessarily wanted to pick up. He'll be back playing for Caja Laboral this year in Vitoria, Spain, one of the great European teams in basketball.
Approaching a minute to go here in the first quarter. 14-point United States lead. Once again, Argentina going to Scola on the block, and he draws the foul from a dismayed Carmelo Anthony. A puzzled look etched across his countenance after that call.
Well, Mike Krzyzewski's going small with this lineup, and this is what you're going to see when Spain plays Team USA on Tuesday, Mark. You're going to see guys like Pau and Marc Gasol post up the smaller USA forwards if they can get away with it.
Folks, get your official USA basketball team gear now on NBAstore.com. Choose from jerseys, t-shirts, hats, and a lot more. NBAstore.com, your official destination for all things basketball. And friend, back to that point that you just brought up, just how vulnerable are they against the Spanish team with the two Gasol brothers? What's the point and counterpoint there?
Well, the point is that Spain has a guy inside, particularly in Pau Gasol, who's very effective in the low post. The counterpoint for Team USA is they could be quicker on the perimeter and quicker in transition, but it's going to become a chess match. And Pau Gasol, very, very good at posting up in FIBA basketball.
Kevin Love couldn't find the handle on that hot pass by Russell Westbrook. 13-point the United States lead. Prigioni feeds it inside. Gutierrez fouled by Kevin Love. That's going to be the first foul on Love. There's a guy, friend, that how surprised are you by his lack of participation right now in playing time?
Well, remember, one of those games he was in foul trouble. Another game was a blowout. But I think Kevin Love really is a really good antidote to a couple of the teams next week in London that do have big guys, because he can hold his own inside, rebound the basketball, but he's also a threat on the offensive end, particularly from the perimeter, Mark. I expect him to be valuable in London.
Talk about from the perimeter. Kevin Love was the NBA All-Star Weekend three-point shooting champ. A double-double machine this year for the Minnesota Timberwolves. There's Durant. He continues to sizzle. He's automatic. He's got 4 three-pointers already.
Well, that three-point line in FIBA basketball is right up his alley. That's a mid-range jump shot for Kevin Durant.
Argentina should have a pretty good scouting report on him. Gutierrez with a nice show and go, double teamed. Nice pass by Ginobili, and Scola with the sweet finish inside. You see some of that chemistry that Argentina has with the core players. Scola now with 8. 10 seconds to go in the first. Looking at his zone defense. They get it to Durant, little contact. Williams, it'll count if it goes, and it does. The United States making its last 2 three-point attempts as the sun goes down in Barcelona. First quarter in the books. The Burger King upcoming schedule. Tuesday, the USA will end their 5-game exhibition tour of the pre-Olympic and take on Spain at 4:30 Eastern Time on ESPN2. They'll face the Gasol brothers, Serge Ibaka. That's a pretty imposing front line if and when they all play together. Jose Calderon playing well from the Raptors as well. Remember, USA beat Spain in the gold medal game in 2008. An 11-point win.
Marc Gasol still banged up with that shoulder that he injured last week against Australia. He did not play Friday night against Argentina. You know what? They didn't, and I say this respectfully, they didn't miss him at all. Ibaka, Felipe Reyes.
United States, after a sizzling start, 7 for 7. You couldn't realistically expect them to keep up that pace. Just 3 field goals in their next set of attempts, 11. LeBron James on the court. United States leading by 15 points. Fran, back to that Spain-Australia game. You mentioned Gasol. We'll see them on Tuesday against the USA. Were you surprised Australia played them to 2 6-point games?
Not really, Mark. Australia plays very tough and physically. I have to tell you, Spain has adjusted their offense over the last few years because they were never used to playing 2 low-post players like Marc and Pau Gasol. They were always a typical European team with Jorge Garbajosa playing that stretch forward position, 4 out, 1 in.
Nocioni had his shot blocked by Kevin Durant with that long pterodactyl-like reach of his. And why not? One of the few misses by KD.
Now, Pablo Prigioni could have a long afternoon just from the standpoint of having to play a lot of minutes. They do not have an experienced backup point guard, Argentina.
And as you bring up that point, Fran, I think about Manu Ginobili, the impact that he's had on basketball in Spain because of his popularity to 3 championships with the Spurs. What about that next generation of players coming up in Argentina?
You know what? It's not a great generation. In fact, you've heard me say before, great look inside by Manu. I think Brazil has got the best young players in South America right now.
And Durant with the finish off the nice dive from LeBron James.
Going to be interesting to see right now if USA can push the pace in the second quarter because Coach Lama's playing those veterans a lot of minutes so far.
Here's Gutierrez. Had it knocked away by LeBron James, but LeBron with the foul, his first personal, first team foul of the second period. One more look at the replay.
And Team USA certainly most dangerous when they convert defense to offense. Great in transition.
Are they saying that was on the shot?
They did. Yep.
Throw line. And a technical foul just called against Pablo Prigioni.
It's also a personal foul. That'll go on his
That's a good point. 5 personal fouls in FIBA, and you are disqualified from the game.
Well, they do not have an experienced backup point guard, so they need him to play a lot of minutes today.
Prigioni recently signing a contract to become a member of the New York Knicks in their backcourt. He and Jason Kidd and now Raymond Felton. See how that plays out. An interesting move by him as Chris Paul, the starting point guard for the United States tonight, discussing a little strategy with Mike Krzyzewski. Chris Paul played in the Olympics in 2008. Remember that gold medal winning team, and of course this team a lot different, friend, than a lot of people thought it would be because of the injuries to Dwight Howard, the back surgery that he subsequently had. Chris Bosh of the Miami Heat resting that abdominal strain muscle, that injury that he had in the playoffs.
Yep.
Dwayne Wade recently undergoing a knee procedure.
And even guys like LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin, who could have made the team on that front line and give them some depth, and they're without that. But I would have to say that if you give me everybody's rosters that are going to London, I still take this roster. Team USA still has some pretty good weapons.
Chris Paul. LeBron going to get whistled for the travel. I'm going to say this. I'm going to throw it out there. You feel free to tell me if I'm wrong, yeah, Fran, after we look at the graphic here of the players that were injured. Yes, Derrick Rose, by the way, suffered a torn ACL. He's the 4th member of the team that, in all rights, could have been on this roster. But tell me about the theory out there that some of the FIBA officials don't see the level of speed and athleticism and even creativity at times and they make violation calls against plays that really aren't.
I think there's a lot of truth to that, Mark. They've really cleaned up the idea of traveling in the FIBA game in recent years, but I would totally agree with you that sometimes some of these elite athletes do things, and as we said about point guards, Facundo Campazzo, I've been waiting to say that for a quarter and a half. The youngest player on this team now will play some point. MVP of the Argentine League playoffs, only 21 years old.
Pretty strong professional league down in Argentina. That's going to be a foul against Gutierrez, his second personal foul on the Kobe Bryant drive right here. Kobe didn't take a lot of field goal attempts in the last game against Great Britain, just 1 of 3 from the field. Friend, when was the last time the Black Mamba only shot it 3 times? Wow, you got to frame that box score.
Yep. Maybe his sophomore year at Lower Merion High School.
He might be saving it for Spain in a couple of days.
I think he is. I think he understands how this exhibition tour works.
Of course, Kobe, a main focus of the media here in Barcelona, by far the most popular USA player, and he had some glowing words for his Laker teammate Pau Gasol, saying and telling the media, making a point of it, to say, Pau's going to be a Laker as long as I'm a Laker. He's like a brother to me, end quote.
And I think Pau took a bad rap this year for some of the Lakers' downfalls. Guy averaged 17 and 11, and it was considered an off year.
Here's Chris Paul in transition off the miss. Campazzo guarding Paul. Back out to LeBron James. LeBron, little showtime, missed it. Chandler tipped it alive to Chris Paul. Kobe working against Ginobili.
How many times have you said that in an NBA game?
A lot. And Campazzo, the youngster, from behind with the block on Kobe. And Durant with a nice defensive play. Good hustle by the Durantula.
Well, Kevin Durant is probably not known for his defensive prowess, but when you've got a wingspan like that and his athleticism and his hustle, by the way, take a look as he reaches in, gets all ball, and breaks up Nocioni's short two. Yeah, I've said this before, Mark, before Kevin Durant's freshman year at Texas. I asked Rick Barnes about him. He said, I've got the best player in the country. And I said to him, you mean the best freshman, right? He said, nope, the best player.
He was right.
He was right that year. He sure was.
LeBron with the strong rebound and puts it on the deck. Chris Paul in the corner, a little mismatch against Scola. Scola going to stay on him. Kobe working against Ginobili. Kobe rips through on the baseline and gets the left-handed layup to go.
Even in an exhibition game, Kobe relishing the one-on-one opportunity against a guy that he respects like Ginobili.
Kobe with 14 points, kick ball on Chandler, and back to the popularity of Kobe Bryant. He has the highest, most popular selling jersey in the world, especially in Europe. And you know, friend, you've been over to Europe a lot with international basketball. They kind of feel, and Kobe agrees, that they have some equity in him. They own him a little bit because he learned the game growing up in Italy.
I don't think there's any question about it. His father, Joe Bryant, Jelly Bean Bryant, played a long career in Italy.
Foul against Durant.
Of course, Kobe's a huge soccer fan, right?
Yep. Barca. He's a Barca fan. Barcelona. Out of bounds. It'll be Argentina basketball. The foul against Kevin Durant. That's his first personal foul. United States leading by 20. Here's Scola working against Carmelo. Nice feed on the cut by Nocioni.
Coach K is going to watch this tape with his coaching staff, and he'll be concerned about some of their weak side defensive coverage in his first half despite the lead.
Carmelo looking for a little quick get back. Couldn't find it. Knocked out of bounds by Kobe Bryant.
You see Coach Lamas arguing his case with the officials. Of course, this generation started with Ruben Magnano, the great coach who now coaches the Brazilian national team. Will take his team into the Olympics. We saw them last Monday night in Washington.
Tell you what, Brazil's a 11-point defeat at the hands of USA, looking pretty good right now in comparison to some of the other teams. As Scola wheels inside, he's got a dozen points. Luis Scola is going to be playing for the Phoenix Suns and Alvin Gentry this year. Kobe lobbed it up for Carmelo. Out of bounds off of Kobe Bryant. It's Argentina basketball. They trail by 18.
Get the feeling, Mark, since that 14-1 opening by Team USA, they've pretty much just put it on cruise control right now, not as sharp as they looked early.
Sometimes a little difficult to fight human nature. Campazzo falls down. Chris Paul working him over a little bit, and Kevin Durant and Scola jaw to jaw.
Scola was involved with Ibaka on Friday night. There's no shrinking violet out there. Well, watch the foul first. Campazzo loses his balance. Paul fouls him, hits him in the face first. And then there's the little push off. And
I tell you, that little spin was extra.
Oh, yeah. This is good. Very competitive teams.
I'll say this under the culture created by Mike Krzyzewski, the United States basketball program, players included, most of the players have conducted themselves, friend, extremely well on and off the court.
I
not taking the bait here.
Well, you mentioned earlier, you got some tough guys on Argentina. Nocioni, Scola. They've made their living throwing their weight around, and I say that respectfully because coaches love guys like this. And wherever they've played, they've been very popular because they give you their heart and soul.
Campazzo will go to the free throw line, the youngster, after being fouled by Chris Paul. Well, you mentioned the fact that the United States hadn't been that sharp since the 19-3 start. This might rile them up a little bit. I'm not sure that Argentina wants to go there right now, but such is the case of the direction of where it's heading right now. Chris Paul with the foul right there. Campazzo with that nice little spin. The technical foul was against Chris Paul.
You know, if I'm Mike Krzyzewski right now, you want to win the game. You're 52-1. So you don't necessarily treat this like your typical exhibition game, but at the same point, you've already made your point that you've got a very, very good team out here, and you know I would not make this into a bloodbath or a heated contest. That can wait for about 10 or 12 days in London.
I have a feeling they're going to sink their teeth into that little point guard right now, Campazzo, because I just saw Carmelo Anthony go out and point down at his feet, and you see Campazzo smiling right now, Fred.
He's loving it. Look at that. He's talking a little trash to Carmelo.
It's about to go down. A 7-0 run for Argentina.
We'll find out, right? Guy's one of the big surprise of the Argentine League this year. MVP of the playoffs at 21 years old.
It's a 13-point lead for the United States. And anytime you talk USA basketball and the scoring table and you get a little nervous, you think back to 1972 and how they put time back on the clock.
40 years ago. I remember that game. I was just a kid, but I sure remember that game, the loss to Soviet Union.
Delfino knocks down the 3, and it's a 10-point game.
And Carlos is just getting back into shape. You mentioned the birth of his twins, also coming off sports hernia surgery in May.
Williams left wide open for 3. Good ball movement.
Yep.
Tipped up.
Mark, there's those jump shots. Yep. I'm telling you, it's feast or famine sometimes when you rely on just outside shooting.
Nice feed. Scola gets away with a walk. Oh, he didn't get away with a walk. Barcelona aglow at night. Back with more USA basketball history against the then Soviet Union. In the 1972 Olympics, Doug Collins' free throws gave the USA a 1-point lead. But then after putting time back on the clock, the Soviet Union, on their third opportunity, got a layup from Alexander Belov and went on to win it 51-50. The defeat, so bilious and so bitter that those silver medals still remain in a vault in Lausanne, yet to be picked up. And actually some people in their will have told their inheritance people that, hey, I don't want you to pick it up either. Some of the players.
I know it's still bitter. I was a 14-year-old in Brooklyn. I remember that the incredulousness of the game and going to shoot hoops at the park afterwards and lamenting the loss.
And nobody's going to stop LeBron James when he makes his mind up to get to the bucket like that. Right through and over Argentina that time. Gutierrez trying to defend him. The lead back up to 12 points. Here's Delfino. Long jumper on the way, no good at the end of the shot clock. And here's LeBron James. LeBron probing.
You see now Argentina playing man-to-man, but they've really packed it in. They're going to live with those jump shots. They're playing about 16 feet and in right now, Mark, and it's not a bad strategy.
Here's Facundo, the young point guard, comes off the screen. Reaching foul against Kevin Durant. That's going to be his second personal foul.
Yeah, I really believe right now Team USA has lost a little bit of focus. Now they still have a huge lead, but not playing with the same intensity they opened the game with.
Fran, you pointed it out a little bit earlier during the commercial break. We see the throwback jerseys that the USA team is wearing. Those are the 1992 uniforms of the original Dream Team, and blazoned on the jersey the CD, standing for the and commemorating the late head coach of that team, Chuck Daly, the champion Detroit Pistons back in the day.
Who did such a masterful job of melding 11 Hall of Famers into a cohesive unit. And Chuck gets a lot of credit from those players for cultivating the team atmosphere.
And a nice tip in that time by Juan Gutierrez.
Argentina right now playing with a little bit of pride, as you'd expect them after being blown out by Spain on Friday and getting off to such a sluggish start tonight.
Westbrook uses the LeBron screen. LeBron with the pull-up knocks it down. That time they worked a little bit inside out, right?
Got it to the yep. You know, LeBron got to the mid-range, but if you watch those blue jerseys, they are not guarding the three-point line right now.
11-point the United States lead with a little over 3 minutes to go here in the first half. Delfino with a nice left-handed layup.
Okay, I've always liked him, Mark. He's instant offense. You mentioned the Celtics interested in him. I think he'd be a nice compliment for a team that's making a playoff run.
Russell Westbrook off the nice hanging layup, the lead back up to 11.
See, Team USA should be a slashing, attacking team and let the jump shots come off of that drive and kick game.
Rebound by Carmelo Anthony, who's back in the ball game. He got into some early foul trouble. Had to sit down. Coach Westbrook with the three.
Coach Lama signaling for a timeout. Now he says no timeout. Remember, the coach can be the only person who can call timeout in FIBA rules, and only on a dead ball. So he waved the timeout out off to the scorer's table.
Delfino with a tough step back three, knocks it down. And the lead is down to 8.
The guy can score. Just rounding back into form off a surgery in May.
Durant with a three ball. Out of bounds. And it'll be Argentina basketball with an 8-point lead.
Mark, the last few minutes is the recipe for how to beat Team USA. Allow them to shoot jump shots. Right now, they're not throwing it into the ocean.
Oh, welcome back, everyone. ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball continues Monday and Wednesday. First, Monday at 8, Rangers and the Red Sox. Then Wednesday, the Dodgers face off against the Cardinals at 8 o'clock Eastern. Monday Night Baseball presented by USAA, and Wednesday Night Baseball on ESPN. Both games available on ESPN3, also live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. Magic Johnson's Los Angeles Dodgers, I might add. Magic Johnson, a member of the original Dream Team. Argentina to within 8. The United States with a quick start from downtown, and now they get a turnover. Westbrook up to Durant. Unbelievably, no foul called. And here comes Argentina. And Westbrook with a nice block from behind.
Russell Westbrook with great hustle that time. Looked like a chippy layup.
Boy, great defensive prowess by the Oklahoma City point guard.
Look how soft the Argentina defense is right now.
Westbrook in rhythm. And the United States, after starting off 5 for 5 from downtown, they have since gone 2 for 15.
The amazing thing, Mark, is they've got the ability on the floor, and guys like Westbrook and LeBron, to get to the rim off the dribble anytime they want. Very passive defense.
Prigioni. And that jump shot good by Gutierrez. And the lead is down to 5.
See the difference? That time Argentina attacks the lane off the dribble. Take a look at the passing here, and a great block by Westbrook on that previous play.
And that's going to be a traveling violation against the United States. USA Basketball Halftime Report presented by State Farm. First half analysis. And boy, what a collapse at the open today.
Oh boy. Adam Scott was cruising along, wasn't he? Well, I don't like the way Team USA has finished this first half. Too much reliance on jump shooting.
Boy, great athletic play by Iguodala. Westbrook in transition and one. They go from end to end in a blur.
Take a look, there's the block, and then the other way, Westbrook again. This team is built to attack both in the half court and the full court. This is their game, Mark. Great play by Iguodala. He does so many little things for Team USA.
Westbrook misses the free throw. And either way, hey, it's just a 7-point game going into the locker room at halftime as Argentina finishes the half on a 21-8 run, since the United States led by 20 at one point. When we come back, it's the USA Basketball Halftime Report presented by State Farm from Barcelona. Welcome back to the USA Men's National Team presented by Nike Plus from Barcelona. And let's take a look at our Metro PCS first half statistics. The Argentine team sprinting into the locker room, making this a 7-point game. And Fran Fraschilla, when you look at the numbers, what are the ones that jump off the page at you?
Well, I think first of all, 7 of 20 is deceiving, Mark, because Team USA, only 2 of their last 15 from behind the arc. They settled for jump shots over half their field goal attempts behind the arc. And when you spread the floor like that and you're going to be feast or famine, you're not going to feast much on the offensive glass because your big guys are away from the basket.
Folks, let's take a look at our Get to a Better State, brought to you by State Farm.
Well, early on, the ball movement was great, and they were on fire from behind the arc. USA making their first 5 threes. Darren Williams knocking one down right at the end of the first quarter horn. But too much reliance, Mark, on long-range jump shooting. Other hand for Argentina, typical ball movement, easy baskets, breakdowns on Team USA's defense on the weak side, something that I think Coach K has probably addressed.
Leading scorers for the United States, Kevin Durant and Kobe Bryant with 14 points apiece. Scola leading the way for Argentina. And Argentina on a 21-8 run to end the first half of play. This is as close as any team has been to the United States in their pre-Olympic tour. Brazil led after the first quarter of play. The United States was actually up 20 at one point in this game. Back with the same starters. Actually, Darren Williams starts the second half for Chris Paul. There's Durant with the pull-up, and Kevin Durant knocks down the pull-up jumper.
Well,
silky smooth.
Yep, there you see the numbers speak for themselves. We mentioned this. Team USA almost went into a trance after the first half of the first quarter.
They come up with a steal.
Now, Kobe's got to get going now, Mark. That's key for Team USA.
That happens on cue. Kobe Bryant with a number 3, his third one of the game. And he's got 17. What do you make of Darren Williams getting the start here in the second half, Brian?
No, you know what? Coach K still trying to rejigger the lineup. I don't think it means very much. Remember, Chris Paul picked up a couple fouls. He's got 3, so it makes sense to rest him. You've got the luxury of doing that.
There's a foul against Williams, guarding Ginobili, his second personal foul. Nocioni. Jump shot no good, cleared by LeBron James. LeBron James so valuable. Prigioni bounced off of him and is called for the foul. That's his second personal foul, but there you see an example of the versatility and skill of LeBron James getting the rebound, friend, and just going with it.
Absolutely, and also that foul, see the common foul in international basketball, Prigioni with only 1 foul, so he keeps LeBron from getting to the basket in an easy manner.
Here's Durant off the handoff. Nice feed to James, and 1. LeBron inside. And the United States with a quick 7-0 run to begin the second half of play here, leading by 14.
Would not be surprised at all if Coach K had a little bit of talking to his team at the half about the lack of intensity to finish the half, and you've seen the starters anyway come out a little bit with a little bit of sense of purpose.
Talk about that sense of purpose, Fran, as LeBron misses his 3rd consecutive free throw. Good hustle by Durant. That'll be Argentina basketball. I was speaking with Nate McMillan, assistant coach for the USA basketball team a little bit ago, and he was telling me that, you know, it's all about being able to get these guys' attention, especially a one Kobe Bryant, who he feels really doesn't play his best until he knows that it's urgent and it really matters. As a foul against Tyson Chandler, his second.
I think it's a great point, Marcus. Speaking of urgency, as you see Manu come down the lane, picks up the foul. I think this is good for Team USA. They all, to a man, have talked about the fact that they are not unbeatable. I don't think there's anybody that has any sense of overconfidence because they know how good teams like France, Argentina, Spain, Brazil are. But this is a healthy reminder when they're in a game that gets close like this.
Ball tipped out to Kobe Bryant. 13-point lead for the United States. Ginobili goes 1 for 2 from the free throw line. Kobe feeling good today offensively. Here's Ginobili on the outlet. He used his body well to shield it from LeBron James. And Ginobili was 7. Lead is down to 11. Remember, it was Argentina that registered the first win over the United States using NBA players back in Indianapolis.
Argentina staying in that 2-3 zone. They're mixing between passive man and a
nice feed inside. Bryant drew the contact and will go to the free throw line.
You know what I like about this, Mark? You've heard me say this throughout the tour. When you see the zones that Team USA will see, you must attack zones from the paint out. You can't just rely on jump shots. They have the ability with a guy like LeBron to make plays in the painted area anytime he wants.
United States, Fran, having a tough time from the free throw line tonight, just 8 of 13. When you talk about the zone offensive approach, we saw it work pretty well 4 years ago, and a guy like Tayshaun Prince came in and operated out of that post area, that foul line.
Yep, absolutely. And LeBron certainly is not only capable of it, it's a great spot for him.
12-point lead for the United States against Argentina. USA looking to go 4-0 on their pre-Olympic tour. Kobe with one of those accidentally on purpose perhaps fouls. I remember against Spain in the Olympics in the first game, as Kobe will foul Ginobili here, against Spain in the Olympics in the first matchup, the one that USA beat Spain by 37. Gasol set a screen, Pau, and Kobe had no intention of running around it. He ran through Pau, was whistled for the foul, and put his hand up before the referee even blew the whistle.
What'd you say about him defending his teammate to the...
Yeah, it's like a brother to me.
It's like a brother.
A little brother. Scola battling underneath, couldn't get it to go. And back come Darren Williams. LeBron. And a lot of contact, and you never like to see somebody go up above the shoulders and the head. Foul is going to go against Argentina.
Well, Manu comes right back, and Manu, he went right for the neck right here. Take a look. It's a good, easy call by the official. A little extra contact right there.
And now LeBron will get a host of free throws, I'm guessing here, Fran, on the unsportsmanlike foul call. LeBron's been having a tough time from the foul line tonight.
And it should be 2 shots in the basketball.
He's 0 for 4 from the line tonight. That is 4th consecutive miss. And you hear the whistling, of course, if you're in tune with the nuances of European culture. Whistling is tantamount to booing. Not sure they're booing LeBron, but maybe the foul by Ginobili. I'm not sure. 13-point lead for the United States. LeBron with a quiet 7 points, although he's filling up the stat sheet pretty well.
You know, Coach K said he doesn't believe in wake-up calls, but in some sense, this is a good test for Team USA because they see Argentina in London. They know that it's going to be a physical basketball game.
LeBron finds a wide-open Darren Williams. And the 3-ball off after a torrid 3-point start. The United States has gone cold from beyond the arc.
Well, they're being baited into taking those shots because Argentina is basically playing inside the 3-point line. The one guy you got to be concerned with right now is Kevin Durant.
LeBron to the bucket. Gets the reverse layup to go. And the lead is up to 15. It was a 7-point game at halftime. You can see Chris Paul from the USA bench exhorting Darren Williams to press up on Prigioni. That's going to be a foul against Tyson Chandler. That's the 3rd foul against Chandler.
Now this is all Luis Scola. He took that ball right to Chandler's body. Chandler wasn't deft enough to get out of the way.
Chandler, the reigning defensive player of the year in the NBA, but the perpetrator on this foul.
Take a look now. Scola's just looking for body right there. Chandler just not able to be nimble enough to get out of the way because that's Scola's game.
He misses the free throw. Fran, we were both at practice and training camp out in Las Vegas, and when you're in the gym, you hear mostly 2 voices for the United States. You hear LeBron James and you hear Tyson Chandler calling out things at the defensive end, almost like a middle linebacker on defense.
That's a great point. This team talked very well in training camp.
Durant had it knocked away out of bounds off of his knee. And it's Argentina basketball, a 15-point lead for the United States. That's just the 5th turnover of the game for the United States. So, friend, they're actually taking pretty good care of the basketball here tonight.
You know, it's interesting. They are, but they're playing sloppy in terms of their execution on offense.
A 3-pointer good by Ginobili. And the lead is back down to 9. Check that 12. I was counting in euros, I think, Fran. Excuse me. Kevin Durant, in any language or currency, that's money. KD with another 3-ball. He's got 5 of them tonight. Lead back up to 15.
A lot of switching.
Knocked out of bounds. It'll be Argentina basketball. Don't forget, coming up next Tuesday night at 4:30 Eastern Time, USA men's national team presented by Nike Plus. USA taking on Spain to culminate their 5-game exhibition pre-Olympic tour. A rematch of the gold medal game against Spain 4 years ago, won by the United States. Off the loose ball, Ginobili with another 3, knocks it down.
Now, we've seen Manu get it going many times for San Antonio. Again, Team USA essentially just sleepwalking through this early part of the 3rd quarter. You don't get the feeling that the lead is in danger, but you also don't see the crisp execution both offensively and defensively we saw to start this basketball game.
Manu Ginobili, friend, with 9 points this half.
Watch how flat and passive that zone is, Mark.
And the thought behind that is what exactly?
Just give up jump shots.
That one knocked down in the short corner. I've been to your clinics before, friend. That's the short corner, right?
You got it. Yep. Good place to attack the zone from. And a drink of water for Carmelo Anthony from that spot.
Prigioni outside, the lead back up to 14. Just under 5 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Mark Jones along with Fran Fraschilla. Palau Saint-Jordi and Argentina trailing the United States. This is a rematch of the semifinal game in the 08 Olympics in Beijing. A whistle and a foul against Ginobili as Russell Westbrook will go to the free throw line when we come back. USA trying to weave its way through the traffic in the lane when we come back. International basketball goes back to 2002 at the World Championships in Indianapolis. The United States losing to Argentina. It's the first loss by the USA using NBA players. Manu Ginobili, of course, had a spectacular game for the Argentina squad. They won it 87-80. And it was interesting, friend, in the wake of that, 2003, the year after, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, a lot of players felt the pang of patriotism and went to the FIBA Americas tournament, won that against Argentina in the finals, restoring a little bit of pride there.
But then a lot of players chose not to go to Athens in 2004 in the wake of the security issues, right, from 9/11. And of course, that was the debacle that led to Jerry Colangelo taking over Team USA and hiring Mike Krzyzewski as the head basketball coach, and currently on a 52-1 run since then.
Not bad. Somewhere out there, people from the Greek Basketball Federation are feeling pretty good about that one win.
My buddy Coach Yanakis, who led the charge there. Yep.
Back here, it's a 16-point advantage for the United States. Iguodala guarding Scola. Ginobili on the baseline, a whistle, and that's going to be an offensive foul against Argentina. A lot of wrestling going on in the paint. Not only did they lose in 2002, but they lost to Spain, Yugoslavia. I mean, you talk about total system failure. And then in 2004, they ended up with the bronze medal, a team coached by Larry Brown. Team that also suffered a little bit of dysfunction. Ball tipped up, kept up alive by Iguodala. Westbrook inside. Didn't have anybody to give it to. Out of bounds, it'll stay USA basketball, and they're going to reverse this call. They're going to give it to Argentina.
Well, I love the idea that Russell Westbrook is in attack mode, Mark. He was so good in 2010. There you see the ball. Looks like it goes out of bounds off his hands, but I love the idea that he is an attacking player, both offensively and defensively.
Iguodala trying to guard Scola. And a nice save by Chris Paul, who's back in the ball game with 3 fouls. You saw Westbrook lose the handle underneath a moment ago. I've heard other people, including Darren Williams, tell me that FIBA basketball is a little bit different. Not that it's small or anything, it just has a different feel coming off your hand.
Doesn't have the tackiness that basketball that these guys are used to playing with have.
And Iguodala having some issues with the handle as well.
It's a slick, shiny ball, and not to make any excuses. Everybody's playing with the same ball, but certainly takes a little bit of time to get accustomed to. It's a minor adjustment.
I like the stripes, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, my son's got 3 or 4 of these at home. Not that they'll ever use them in competition, but.
Andre Iguodala at the free throw line. Did a great job in the 2010 World Championship team that won the gold medal against Turkey in Turkey. Fran, how does his role differ or remain the same in this version of the team?
Well, it's the same as it was in 2010. He's a guy that defends well. He shoots at a reasonably good rate from behind the arc. I think he shot 39% in the NBA this year. He certainly gets out in transition. Jack of all trades. Doesn't need to get a lot of shots in your offense.
Ginobili with 4 fouls will sit down. Prigioni bringing it up against Chris Paul.
35-year-old Prigioni playing a lot of minutes today.
Going to be having a spot hopefully in the backcourt of the New York Knicks. He recently signed a contract with them. Carmelo Anthony clears the rebound. Approaching 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Durant started the game hot from downtown and knocks down another one. That's his 6th. He loves that 3-point line.
And that That's the one guy, if you're Argentina, that you must guard on that three-point line. Everybody else, I shade off a little bit and make him shoot contested over the top jumpers. But this guy shoots it too.
Carlos Delfino. Milwaukee Bucks joined Milwaukee after John Hammond, the general manager who drafted him in Detroit, brought him over. That ball knocked out of bounds. It'll be Argentina basketball off the Durant miss on the three.
Last year, Mark, in Mar del Plata, where the FIBA Americas Championships were held, this Argentine team had to play 10 games in 13 days, and not easy to do when you have this many veterans. When they go to London, there'll be a day off in between every single game they play, so they have a chance to get well rested.
Chris Paul with numbers and good defense by Pancho Jansen. Comes up with a steal, just the 7th turnover for the United States. Delfino buys another one.
I tell you, someone's going to get a real threat. Whoever he signs with, because he's a free agent right now, is he not? Yep.
I want to talk about a host of Eastern Conference teams interested in him. Ball tipped away on the lazy pass by Westbrook. Prigioni with a nice feed, and the layup good underneath by Jansen.
Again, sloppy basketball right now by Team USA. Pretty much have coasted along since that 19-3 start in the first quarter.
Play inside out that time, and Westbrook counters with a three. Got it into the paint frame.
That's right. That's a good rhythm shot. That's what we call an inside-out three, Market. When that ball goes to the paint area, it contracts the defense and allows for you to shoot a little bit more uncontested shot.
Little heat check by Delfino. Carmelo Anthony battling underneath. Delfino with a nice play in the layup. Argentina hanging tough with under a minute to go here in the third. Oh, a great crossover by Durant. And Carmelo couldn't get the handle. Carmelo having a tough time tonight.
Now, Durant, an example right there of overpassing, trying to be an unselfish teammate.
Prigioni out top, guarded by Iguodala. Prigioni with the three. And a 12-3 run now by Argentina.
Prigioni has always been, along with being a clever playmaker, an excellent shooter. Over 80% from three in his career, and he knocks down the standstill J.
Here's Westbrook out top. Kick out to Chris Paul. Iguodala misses the three. And that's going to be the end of the third quarter play. USA led by 7 at the break. They lead by 11 now. And a look at Barcelona sparkling at night. Let's take a look at our Jeep game track. Some of the cogent points of the game so far. Kevin Durant leading the way, Fran, with some great three-point shooting, but Argentina ending the third quarter with a 12-3 run. It's an 11-point contest as we begin the fourth quarter play. Mark Jones along with Fran Fraschilla, LeBron James on the court along with Chris Paul, Kevin Love getting a little bit of run night now as well, Kobe Bryant and Carmelo Anthony.
I know you'll have a hard time believing this, but anytime my team's had a 19-3 lead, it was always difficult to really keep that intensity level going at a, at a high rate. And Team USA has somewhat been flat the next 2 quarters, even though they have an 11-point lead. And yet, you know what? This doesn't matter. All that matters is they'll see each other in pool play in a week and then potentially meet in the gold medal game.
So none of that sending a message philosophy applying here?
I think they sent the message early, but this is a crafty team.
Foul's going to be against LeBron James. That's his second personal foul. Foul Prigioni.
LeBron's got a little point here. Let's see if he travels. And we kind of lifted that pivot foot before he put the ball down, and maybe he did it so slowly it didn't look like a travel mark. You know what I mean?
Good point.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah. That's going to be an offensive foul on the ever popular moving screen in FIBA basketball. And Fran, Tell me about your predictions. This is how you see it?
Well, USA and Spain, obviously the two best teams in this tournament. That third spot, you know, I've been impressed with Brazil going back to last year with Coach Magnano. Don't sleep on Russia. They're dangerous with Karolinko. France has got Tony Parker and some guys, you know, guys that we know like Batum and Diao, and certainly Argentina for a week or two can make a final run at the end of this golden generation.
LeBron with the slam. And the lead is back up to 13. Who's your top sleeper, though? You mentioned Russia first, I think I heard you say.
Well, you know what? I don't think we can consider Brazil a sleeper now that we've seen them in person.
Right.
But, you know, certainly Russia, I think, with Coach David Blatt. There's another great look.
LeBron with the alley-oop, and the blitz might be starting now. They pressed button number 6. And the United States increasing its lead when we come back to Barcelona.
Coverage of the USA men's national team is presented by Nike Plus Basketball, Game On World. And in part by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more.
Welcome back, everyone, to Barcelona and the USA men's national team. Presented by Nike Plus. Mark Jones along with Fran Fraschilla. Look at beautiful Barcelona with 8:23 to go here. Actually, we are into the fourth quarter. And I guess everywhere you go around the bubble these days, San Francisco, Maine, all the way to Spain, you'll find some USA basketball fans. Delfino up court against Kobe Bryant.
That's good pressure by Kobe Bryant, sending a message.
Delfino with a deep 3.
Tell you what, I know Kobe Bryant went to Coach K, said, let me get a piece of Delfino because he's been lighting us up. You know, the first time they talked about playing on that 2008 team when Kobe was joining the club, the first thing he told Coach K was, I want to guard the opponent's best perimeter player.
Kobe Bryant, an all-NBA defensive player. Carmelo still continuing to struggle today. Carmelo just 2 of 7. Fran, you go back to 2006 and even the early part of that 2008 Olympic run. Carmelo Anthony was one of USA basketball's best players. That jumper good by Leo Gutierrez.
Leo Gutierrez, probably Argentina's best shooter outside of Delfino. He once hit 15 threes in an Argentine professional league game.
That's going to be a traveling against LeBron, and he knew it that time.
Well, that's that rule. As soon as you catch it, you got to put the ball to the floor. Otherwise, you basically are running without having a pivot foot. That's the idea behind that FIBA rule. The rule's been cleaned up very much through the years. It used to be Americans would go to Europe and be called for a travel on every other possession.
Long jumper off the mark, rebounded by Kevin Love. Under 7 minutes to go. Fran, how important for the United States to finish this game on a positive note and finish strong? LeBron with the floater. Tipped up by Anthony, no good. Argentina with the rebound.
I always felt as a coach that getting off to a great start was phenomenal, but I always left a bad taste in my mouth. And we had a huge lead and we wound up giving much of it away. So I do think it's important to finish strong here, and then they'll have 2 days to get ready for Spain.
Ginobili going to check back into the ball game on the whistle here.
I'm not sure that there was a foul there, Mark. Kobe has been all over Delfino the last couple of possessions.
And Kobe can communicate with these international officials. Speaks fluent Italian and a little bit of Spanish as well. Prigioni out top in the 2-man game. Darren Williams guarding him. Tyson Chandler forced them to change the shot. Here's the United States in transition. LeBron Durant finishes with the slam.
That started with a great outlet by Tyson Chandler right there. Got the ball to LeBron. Durant filled the lane. Now Kobe's going to get a piece of Ginobili.
Ginobili with the long ball, knocks it down. And it's a 12-point game. Ginobili has 16, most of them coming here in the second half. Argentina in the zone.
More sloppy play versus that zone.
Shot clock down to 10. Kobe with a deep three. They're going to give up an easy one at the other end to Ginobili. Does Mike Krzyzewski call timeout with a 10-point lead, or does he let him play here?
He's obviously going to let him play because the ball's in play. But if you're Darren Williams, the point guard, you got to be the guy back. That time nobody got back on the missed shot.
Williams missing the short jumper. Still plenty of time to go here. A little over 5 minutes, and the crowd always likes to root for the underdogs. Argentina bench players up, exhorting their teammates on the floor right now.
I don't think anybody ever minds when Team USA gets beat. Let's face it.
Everybody likes to see the underdog come through, and the Giants more so take the hit as Tyson Chandler goes to the free throw line.
Of course, that's a great compliment, but here you see they get the ball inside to Tyson Chandler off the pass from Durant. If there's going to be a recipe for teams playing Team USA in the Olympics, it's going to be, Mark, despite how good a shooter Kevin Durant is, give Team USA the perimeter shot, take away the lane, take away drives. You have more of a chance.
To be honest, though, friend, didn't we hear a lot of the same in 2008 and the lack of height? Everyone was concerned about Spain, and Greece with a very long team.
Well, what you got to do if you're an opponent is you got to play the percentages. See, and the odds of you beating Team USA are not great anyway. So you've got to shorten the 40-minute game, and you got to make it a little more difficult. Give them the contested jump shot, but don't allow them to get out in transition, attack, and slash to the basket. And it may not work.
It's a good. Hey,
when Durant and Kobe are on, let's face it.
In the immortal words of Mike Tyson, everyone's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth. As Chandler goes 0 for 2 from the line. United States 11 of 32 from downtown. Foul on the play against the USA. Fouls against Darren Williams. Carmelo Anthony back in the ball game for Tyson Chandler, so the USA going a little smaller here, right, Fran?
Yeah, and you know, as you see, Carmelo will likely guard Scola right now. That's not a mismatch. Both of those guys go toe-to-toe fairly well, both physical guys.
Carmelo got a piece of that. Out of bounds off of Argentina, I guess, and surprisingly, USA basketball. 10-point game. Williams up court on the floor with Durant, Westbrook, LeBron James, and Carmelo Anthony.
I don't think Team USA, Mark, is going to be concerned with Nene and Splitter scoring a lot of points inside, or Kevin Serafin or Boris Diaw. You know what I mean? I think the main concern will be against Spain with the Gasol brothers. But when the Gasol brothers when they go big, Spain, it's a little different than the way Spain has traditionally played in the past.
Here's Westbrook. 3 on the shot clock. Carmelo had it blocked, and that's going to be a shot clock violation against the United States. One thing you can say about Argentina, they may be a little bit on the other side of their careers age-wise, but they're a cagey and feisty group that's been together for a long time.
And they're going to see each other in pool play, and then not again until the finals possibly. Couldn't you see them giving USA some trouble?
Sure.
Particularly in a game where Kevin Durant isn't knocking down threes, and don't forget, Argentina, like USA, they're not running all their stuff today.
The foul's going to go against Carmelo Anthony. That's his second personal foul. Argentina to inbound. Off the inbound pass. Saw the United States players wait. They could have batted that off the rim, still getting adjusted somewhat to some of those FIBA rules, and Westbrook left that short. They're just out of sorts right now offensively.
See how open he was?
Yeah.
And they're going to give him those shots.
Prigioni hits a 3. And the lead is down to 7. An 8-0 run for Argentina. We'll be back with more after this. Welcome back, everyone. Let's take a look at the Cisco assist of the night, and it comes courtesy of Chris Paul with a high handoff to LeBron James.
Chris Paul's made this an art form, the lob pass, whether it was to Tyson Chandler at the Hornets. Now Blake Griffin, his teammate with the LA Clippers. This time finding LeBron at the end of that lob.
And welcome back to Palau Sant Jordi here in Barcelona, Spain. It's down to a 7-point USA lead. And an all too familiar nemesis, Argentina. Argentina ranked number 3 in the world in FIBA rankings. USA number 1, Spain is number 2.
I don't remember seeing Chris Paul, Darren Williams out there together very much, right? And,
what do you make of this look?
Better ball handling, opportunity to drive, but another sloppy play.
Argentina gives it back, though.
I tell you, Mark, when you give a team this much freedom, which Coach K has always done offensively, you know, it'll lend itself at times to sloppy play, because sometimes you'll have guys trying to overpass or force shots, but here a bad break for Coach Lamas and Argentina with a chance to cut it to 5 or 4. Team USA will get it back.
Anthony out to Chris Paul. LeBron trying to post up.
Right now it's just ISO basketball.
LeBron with a tough baseline jumper. No good, out of bounds. It'll be Argentina basketball.
And there's my point exactly. Instead of ball movement, free-flowing offense, and just a post-up for LeBron. And remember, in FIBA play, because of the rules, he's basically going 1-on-5, not necessarily the most opportune way to take advantage of his skills. Kobe Ginobili now, another good matchup.
Ginobili uses the screen, draws the foul from Carmelo, and one. It is down to 5.
Well, they switch to pick and roll. Carmelo's late, doesn't get in front. Anytime you give Ginobili an angle to the rim, with his ability to use his body, he knows what to do with it. That is vintage Ginobili right there in the lane.
Manu Ginobili with most of his points coming here in the second half. He's got 20.
Mark, we said it in the middle of the first quarter. Team USA got that early lead, and they basically went on cruise control since.
They were leading by 20 at one point in the first half. Now looking at a zone. Carmelo cross court, Durant with the 3, and the sweet touch.
Let me tell you,
layup challenged. That's his 7th three-pointer.
There's very few guys you could say that's a good shot being that challenged, but Durant certainly has that ability.
Ginobili just bullying his way to the bucket.
Oh, Mark, watch the challenge by Scola here. Good inside out pass by LeBron, and then Kevin Durant. You know what? That's one of those shots where when he's in his rhythm at the end of the stroke, doesn't matter if you're contesting.
Kevin Durant, the 3-time NBA scoring champion, as Ginobili makes it a 6-point game.
Hey, you know what, Mark? We may not get into this because this is the last time we'll see Argentina, but you're looking at a guy, Manu Ginobili, who will be in the Basketball Hall of Fame as much for his winning as anything else. Winning a EuroLeague title, an NBA title, and an Olympic gold medal. He will be in the Hall of Fame.
3-time NBA champion with the San Antonio Spurs. Chris Paul with the 3, and he knocks it down. So when it counts the most, they seem to be knocking down those threes, Fran. 2 in a row now.
Good job by Chris Paul. Defender went under, and he recognized it.
Prigioni fouled by Kevin Durant.
I wish Prigioni was heading to New York about 5 or 6 years earlier. He's 35 years old, but take a look. Watch Prigioni go under the screen, and then LeBron just steps into Prigioni, almost sets a moving screen, but good heads-up play. But this guy would be a steady backup point guard on any team in the league in his prime. Crafty, isn't he?
Won a bunch of championships over in Spain, and it's not a situation where he looks like he's going to overwhelm you with physical talent, but cagey. He's got his points and assists at the end of the game. 6-point contest, under 2 minutes to go. That's going to be a foul against Prigioni. That's his third personal.
There's a guy that's been playing in the ACB in Spain since 1999, 13 years. Turned professional at a very young age.
There's LeBron. On the drive, misses and draws the foul on the play.
Fans, you can tell who they're rooting for right now. The underdog, look at Nocioni, who's had his battles with LeBron through the years. Little touch foul.
Goes to the free throw. You know what? Here's what amazes me, and Fran, I'm going to call it as I see it. Here's the hypocrisy I find with some of these international coaches. They'll tell you they're not trying to win, yet you look at the score right now and you see the reaction of the Argentine players. You can't tell me that they're not trying to win.
Well, no, there's no question about it. But on the other hand, you don't want to throw all your cards out there in a game like this. So they're in this ball game without showing a lot of their different offensive sets.
On the spin, off the leg of Kobe Bryant, that'll be Argentina basketball.
I'm not sure where Camerix is going on that. The big fella trying to handle it, loses it, and luckily it goes off Bryant's left foot. No, I think once you get to the final 5-6 minutes of the game, you're definitely trying to win. There's no question about that.
On the drive, Ginobili. Oh, he was right at the cup and couldn't get it to go. Kobe to Carmelo. Chris Paul going to run a set here as we approach 1 minute to go.
And he's going to go high pick and roll right here if he can get loose.
That's a heck of a screen by LeBron. Chris Paul comes up short, though. Nice pass by Prigioni to Scola. And he's fouled by Durant. Tell you, players from both sides here having some issues with the officiating. Every time there's a whistle, they put their palms up as if to say, what?
There you see, watch Durant right here. I think that's payback from the fouls, the talking and woofing in the first half. And keep in mind, Mark, these teams will meet in pool play in the Group A. So these are likely to be the two best teams in Group A. You could throw France in there and potentially Lithuania. That's likely to be the 4 teams that come out of Group A, but they will meet again. They will not meet again, I believe, until the finals if they finish 1 and 2 in Group A, because then the second team in Group A would have to beat the first team in Group B in order to get to the final.
I saw your predictions, Fran, and under a minute to go now, 48 seconds to go. You picked the United States for the gold. Do you think they're going undefeated in that gold medal quest?
I do, because I don't think they'll lose in pool play, which means they'll have to then win the next 3 games in knockout play.
LeBron missing the finger roll, got it back and was fouled on the putback attempt.
I don't think every game will be a walk in the park, but I do think they'll go undefeated.
That foul is against, looks like it's against Ginobili. That's going to be his 5th. You know, you saw him miss that layup right at the basket. Maybe a function of fatigue at this point.
Could be. Could be.
Timeout on the floor. 33.2 seconds to go. Argentina trying to hang in with one last gasp effort. National team presented by Nike Plus. And you look at the winning percentage of the United States with NBA players since that loss to Argentina.
Well, in fairness, since Coach K took over, it's 52-1. So that record's been embellished a little bit since Jerry Colangelo was giving the chore of restoring USA basketball on a global landscape. And what a great job they've done right down through the under-17s, the World Championships, and all the youth teams doing very well.
52-1, as you mentioned, that one loss against Greece in the 06 World Championships. 3 gold medals in the Olympics, World Championships, most recently, and the FIBA Americas Championship. And Fran, you talked about it in our earlier broadcast during the Brazil game and the game against the Dominican Republic. The other programs doing quite well, the under-17, the under-19.
That's right. I think there's more of a pride now. Don't forget the select team that practices against the senior national team, the Olympic team of NBA guys that people don't realize. Guys like Drew Holiday and DeMar DeRozan, DeMarcus Cousins worked out against this team in Las Vegas. So there is a program now of players in the pipeline for Team USA, which I think has created continuity.
Lead is up to 8. .25 seconds to go. Argentina not playing with a lot of urgency right now, and foul against Carmelo Anthony on Scola.
By the way, that's called a message foul.
That was it, huh?
That's we'll see you on August, whatever it is.
Send him a text,
yeah,
huh?
Exactly. That's we'll see you in Pool A, buddy.
A little bit of contentious feelings between these two teams going back to 2002, and well, since the loss in 2004 to Argentina in the knockout round at the Olympics, the United States has come back with some very convincing wins.
Scola's that guy, Mark, that you played with. You know that if you played on his team, you loved him. If you played against him, you hated him.
Well, it's funny, you know, his former teammate Shane Battier with the Houston Rockets said Luis has that hair that gives a great effect when you're talking about being able to draw fouls, aka flopping a little bit. Because he makes it look like you get whiplash when you get a touch. 6-point lead, and this one is cooked, glazed, and sliced. The United States will improve to 4-0 on its pre-Olympic tour. Fran, some final thoughts.
Well, Coach K in the post-game press conference will talk about the ability of Argentina to play close because of how good they are. He'll have a lesson in the film room for Team USA, and now Team USA will get ready for a raucous crowd in here on Tuesday night as they take on Spain. Mark, that should be fun.
4:30 Eastern time. As you saw Carmelo with a little hug for his soon-to-be teammate Pablo Prigioni. They started off red hot from downtown with 5 threes. Our next USA basketball game, you heard it, 4:30 Tuesday against Spain. Coming up, it's the STP 300 at Chicago. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Yeah, it got a little hot under the collar and around the collar. For Fran Fraschilla and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Mark Jones saying goodbye from Barcelona.